Welcome, you folks. We're glad to have you with us this afternoon. I'm Don Snow. I'm in St. George, Utah, down toward the desert area. Gerhard Roof, who's our co-host, or our host, he's up in Orem, Utah, which is up north. And we've got people online with us from, where are we? From Nevada and from Utah and from Washington, and I don't know where all. Anyway, we're delighted to have you all with us today. Today is the 8th of March of 2022, and this is Mountain Standard Time, 3:30 p.m. By the way, 2 weeks from today will be our next class, and we will have switched to daylight savings time then. So the next class will be on daylight savings time. We're going to be talking today about LDS Genealogy Books online. This is part one. I'll tell you what the difference is between part one and part two and others here in just a second. First of all, I want to make sure that you remember, if you haven't already signed up or registered for RootsTech, you still can, no charge, it's completely free. All their 1,500 sessions, including their keynotes and all that stuff, is online for free, and it will be there for the next year. The class I did for them last year is still on there, and the two I did this year are on there. And they'll be on there. I thought they were going to take my last year's class off, but it's still on there and will be. Sign up on rootstech.org. It's completely free, and we'll have a lot of information for you, a lot of different sorts of things. Now, what we want to talk about today on Genealogy Books Online are, first of all, what are the books that are online, general books, especially genealogy and family history books, some of the major book websites, and then I've selected 5 or 6 of the major LDS ones, that the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints and Utah ancestry on there, and we'll show some examples of those and what you can do with them. And in most cases, you can download the entire book and use it on your own computer. In some cases, you have to use it as a PDF online, but you can do screenshots of whatever you find that you're interested in. Now, the class notes for this, so you don't have to worry about class notes, they're on that website right there. UVTAGG is Utah Valley Technology and Genealogy Group.org. And that's where my website is, and that's the rest of the URL there for it. And Gerhard Roof, our host, has already posted a PDF file of the notes on the chat box here in Zoom, if you're watching this on Zoom, which everybody is welcome to watch on Zoom, no charge for these. Or if you're watching on Facebook, there'll be a link in the comments section. There's notes and links and ways to get to the recent videos and so on. Now, I want to show you some examples and demos. And before I do that, let's go back. Let's go to the notes and actually show you what the notes look like on there. This is the link that you get to if you click on that link. This is where all my class notes are stored. There's several pages of other sorts of things here at the top. And then there's information about how to watch these online on the Zoom link or on the Facebook link. And then classes coming up. And this is the first one, number 1 here is the first one, that's today, on LDS Genealogy Books Online. Here's the next few classes. I'm going to do another one on, at least one more on part 2, I'll call it, on this. As I went through these, I realized there were so many other things that I ought to talk about that in trying to cram it into a half an hour was too much. And then here's all the past classes with the links of the past ones. And if you're interested in those RootsTech classes, they're on here. There's links to how you can get to them and all the other classes that we've got. Okay, now I've already clicked on the classes on this item number 1 here, classes coming up, today's date, that one. And that's right here. I've already opened it up in this website tab. And here it is, LDS Genealogy Books Online. There's an abstract here that tells a little bit about them and examples of what they are and the ones I'm going to be talking about today. Here's the welcome and the introduction to the class with the information about me there. If you're watching this later or even now, if you want, there's my email address, and it's on most of these items that if you want to contact me, I'll be glad to try and answer a question for you later on if you're watching this, 3 months from now, you can still contact me. That's my website, which we looked at a minute ago. This is a couple of tips, computer science tips that help, that many people don't know about, so I keep listing those on here. And then item 4 is what this class is all about, with the information on it. Here's a section on books online, and we'll come back and look at that a little more in detail here in a few minutes, talk about the format that books have online, and then some genealogy books that have Mormon or LDS information in them. And I've picked out a bunch of them that are important ones as I've thought through this, and I began to make a list, and I thought, gosh, there's many more that I should talk about. So that's why I've broken this up into separate parts. But we'll look at several of these in today's class. And then there's some conclusions here about what you can do with all this. Now, let's go back up here to, well, let me go back first of all to the examples, and let's see, I guess I already talked about what we were going to do though, so I guess we're actually to the examples and demos. So let's go right in here and look at books online, this section of the notes. There are many websites that have genealogy books. More and more are being digitized, and more are on there for free. So there are a few websites that charge you for them, but the ones that I'm primarily interested in are free ones. I've listed about what I got, 4 of them here. The Family Search Digital Library. All those books are completely free, and there's a link that will get you to it. If you just click, if you're using these notes on my website, then you click on those links are hot links, so that they'll take you directly there. Otherwise, you'll have to copy that or type it in yourself. Internet Archive, that's a group in San Francisco that is dealing with primarily out of copyright stuff, and they've got a wealth of information in there, lots and lots and lots of books, and several of the books that we're talking about today are available on there. You can download the whole book in various formats, and I've downloaded them in PDF so that I could use them on my own computer. Google Books has a lot of books, and you can form a Google Library collection, and then you can actually click on that library collection and use them online, scan them, and so on. In some cases, you can download the whole book, but in other cases, you can't. It depends on the copyright and what arrangements Google has made with the libraries in question. And the Hathi Trust is one where they've got, it's a nonprofit organization. They've set up a whole lot of books. I think it's 6 million, something like that now. And you can form a Hathi Trust collection of your favorites on there. And then when you go to that website, you can click on those and you can read them on there. I don't think, at least I haven't found a way that you can download the entire book, but you can read them on there or use them all you want to on there and do the screenshots and look at them online. Now, there's a couple of information items here, item 6 here, about online books and the format that they're in. Most of the online books are in PDF format. That's portable document format. That was a format that Adobe developed back in the early 1990s, and it became so popular they donated, said anybody in the world can use it, and it became so popular. It was a photograph essentially of a page, and then with text layers on top of it so that it would identify what the words and the symbols meant. And many organizations use that for their books, for their manuals, for their handbooks, for everything you can think of. And so it really is an important sort of a format. And many programs are written to be able to read or edit PDFs. Now, the thing to keep in mind here is that the PDF number may be different than the page number of the book. The reason being that the PDF will include the covers and the title page and the front information and all that stuff before it gets to the page numbers that the book has. And so if you're looking for a particular page number in a book, it will probably be after the page number, the corresponding page number in the PDF. You'll see that page number on the picture when you get to the right page, but the page number of the PDF may be different, probably will be different than the page number of on the book itself. Just keep that in mind, that you need to keep the numbers different. Some PDFs, well, some of the books you use online are usually already available in searchable format. They've already run a program on there so that you can do screenshots, so that you can do searches, and then you can do a screenshot of what you want. If you download a PDF, or if you do a PDF scan yourself on your scanner, you may not be able to search it. PDFs are different varieties. There's several different kinds of PDFs, but there's the searchable and non-searchable in particular. If you search, if you're looking at a PDF on your screen and you can see a particular word there, and yet you type in the index and say search for this word, and it says that word doesn't occur, that is a non-searchable PDF. That means that the text layer has not been put on top of it. It needs to be run through a program, an OCR program, an optical character recognition program, to recognize that those words are really words, and then it's searchable. So that text layer is put on top of the picture layer on there. And there are free and commercial versions. The commercial versions, of course, usually work better and faster than the free versions, but there are a bunch of free ones. And if you're interested in that, there's information on my website about other PDF programs and free ones that will actually allow you to put that text layer on top of a non-searchable PDF. Most of the books, when you download them, already have that text layer put on them. If you go from nearly any one of those sources that I gave you earlier, most of those books will be downloaded with the text layer on top of them. Now, here's some LDS genealogy books online. The Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints has always been interested in genealogy and families. It's heavily, as most of you are aware, families are the basis of the church and of everything else. And so they're always concerned with our ancestors and with finding out who we are and so on. I've selected a few books here. There's items 9 through 14, and I'm going to show you these. There's links here as to how you can download or where you can go to get that copy of that book. In most cases, I've downloaded these within the last few days just to make sure these links worked and get the correct links in here. There was one of them, item 12, A Century of Mormon Activities in California by Leo J. Muir. My picture's actually in that one. That one is not downloadable. It was several years ago when I downloaded a copy, but I'll show you today, or a couple of days ago, I had to use just a screenshot of it. You can search it and read it all you want to online, and then do screenshots of whatever you want. But the rest of these I've downloaded already. Here's the books that we'll be talking about. Pioneers and Prominent Men of Utah. That was a book written back in the, in the 1890s or 1900, something like that. I think it's nearly 1,400 pages. It's an enormous book. It was in print for many years, and then it was out of print and high priced, and then somebody reprinted it. But the whole thing is available. It's been scanned, and it's available for no charge on the scans. And we'll show you some examples of that. The Scandinavian Jubilee album. That's the 50-year anniversary from when the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints was first founded when Erastus, my great-grandfather, when he went to Denmark and Sweden as a missionary. He was an apostle in the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints. And in 1850, he was called over there to go over and start the gospel preaching in Denmark. And the Scandinavian Jubilee album consists of information of people from over there 50 years after the first church members were there. And so if you're looking for somebody with Scandinavian ancestry that lived in Utah, more than likely they're in that book in the early days. Church Chronology by Andrew Jensen. This is a day-by-day listing of what happened in the church. Andrew Jensen was an assistant church historian for many years, and he published several books. And there's several different editions of church chronology, but you can look up a particular date and see what happened on the date for the early pioneers when they came into Utah, or when they came to St. George, or wherever they formed different places and different cities and towns and all that sort of thing. And so he published that, and of course he did it to sell books, and as well as for the information to get out. And there's a link where you can download that. A Century of Mormon Activity in California by Leo J. Muir. My dad moved from Utah to California right after the First World War to go to dental school at USC, University of Southern California in Los Angeles, and stayed there afterwards. And so Dad was involved in this early days, and Leo J. Muir, who was a historian down there, wrote this book. It's a 2-volume set, and the second volume has just the whole thing is biographical of different sorts of people, and that's got my dad's family and even a picture of me in it. Let's see, that was item 12. Item 13 is the LDS Biographical Encyclopedia by Andrew Jensen. He made the attempt of trying to write down biographical information on just lots of people, and these are all searchable, so you don't need to use the index. You open them up in the PDF in a searchable thing and just search for who you're looking for. And we'll show some examples of this here in a couple of minutes. So that's another one that he did. He did several of them, and he did what they called the historical record, which has a whole bunch of information in about people and about what's happening in different places. Now, I've already downloaded all of these except for that Century of Mormon Activities in California, and I've done the screenshots of that. So I'm rather than showing you the downloads of these, well, let me at least show you this one. I'm going to hold down the control key while I click on this. This is going to open this up in another tab. And this is there's the book Pioneers and Prominent Men of Utah. And this is, I think this is the Google one. No, this is Internet Archive. See, this is Internet Archive. That's where this one is stored. Published in 1913, there's the publication. Information about it, it tells, someplace it'll tell how many pages there are. It's around 1,400 pages, something like that. Some phenomenal thing. All these over here on the right side are different formats that you can download this thing in. And I clicked on the one down here, PDF. Where's PDF? There's Kindle, different form, EPUB. These are different formats of, there's PDF right there. I clicked on that and it downloaded the file. It took a little while to download, 3 or 4 minutes. And, but now I've got a PDF of the whole thing on my own computer that's completely searchable. But you can see all these different formats that you could download this thing in. This EPUB format is one that is a 2-page sort of a thing, so you can actually turn the pages. It'll make it look like you're turning the pages on a book on there. Anyway, that's an example of what you can do, and that's what I downloaded. Now, let me get over here. I'm going to open up this down at the bottom here. I'm clicking on this thing. This is this program Everything that most of you who have attended our classes before know that I use this thing all the time. My code that when I save these things off, I called it book, B-O-O-K. So that's in there, and I downloaded this in 2022. So there's 2022. Now, after that, I can put in here, let me show you that, Pioneers. Well, that was by Frank Esham, E-S, oops, I didn't mean to, E-S-S-H-O-M is his name. There it is. There's the book. That's the, I downloaded this once before, but there's the full title of what I put on it as I downloaded it. Pioneers and Prominent Men of Utah. And then the name that Internet Archive had was that on there. And then I put where I got it from. Well, this one actually came from Google Books. This wasn't the one from Internet Archive. And there's the date I downloaded it a couple of days ago, just so I could illustrate it. So I'm going to double click on it, and so I can open it up. And here is the book opened up. Now, this is in my default PDF program. This is on my computer now. Let me widen this screen out just a little bit here. let's see, I'm looking for this program down here to widen that out just a little bit, but it's probably good enough now for us to see on there. Let me get back to it. Okay, here we go. Now, let's see if I can move this over so that I can. Okay, now over here on the right is the information about what you're searching for. So I'm going to go up here to, let's see, what does this say up here? Oh, somebody wants to be admitted. Oh, okay. We'll admit them. Good. Okay, now this is a search. I always search for, I'm always interested in my own people. Everybody's interested in their own illustrations. So let me see if I can get up here where the search box is, and that's the advanced search. For some reason, I'm not seeing the top of this thing up here, and that I want to minimize. I guess I'm not getting this thing open wide enough for some reason. Let me see if I can widen it a little further and make this a little bit narrower. Okay, now there's the search button. Okay, I'm going to search for, well, there it's, I've already typed in there Erastus Snow. That's my great grandfather that I use as an illustration on here. Okay, now I click search. Okay, now what it's done is it has gone through this book, which is about 1,400 pages, and it's found every place where the name Erastus Snow occurs. And I'm scrolling down over here on the right, the little pieces that show you the different parts where it is. Now, I'm going to, since that's pretty small and you may not be able to see it, and I can hardly see it myself, and with my poor eyesight now, I need a magnifier. I've turned on the magnifier on here. So now I'm going to go over here so that you can see, and it says, okay, found one document, it found 48 entries in here in this particular book. Okay, here's one. If I click on that one, that's over here on the right. Over on the left, it'll show somebody named Erastus Snow and James Craig, and I don't know what all. Scroll down through here. See, there's the different pages here. There's Erastus Snow on. Well, let's find one here. Here's page 63 of Erastus Snow, director of some state bank. I don't know whether that's my ancestor. I can't imagine him. I never heard that he was director of any bank. Here's another one, Erastus Snow, born in 1869. That's not my ancestor, but that's probably one of his descendants or somebody else from another Snow family here. I'm just going to scroll on down here a ways. Here's Dixie Mission. Okay, I want to get down here where it shows you some pictures. There's, let me keep on going down here. As it gets down, these are all, you can see it's highlighted over there on the left side, which we'll go over and look at it here in a minute. But I want to actually find where it gets down to the picture. This is, see, this enormous book, and they're heavy. I don't own one. There's a copy of a picture of somebody. That's Frederick G. Williams. That's Erastus is mentioned on that page someplace, but that's not a picture of him. There's I'll just keep on going down here till we find, there's a bunch of pictures. That's one of the benefits of this whole book. And now we're up to page 1,300. I think I've gone past past where all the pictures are. Let me just keep on going up here, and I should have oh gosh. Well, maybe I can't even illustrate it, but there's as you keep on going up here, there's a whole bunch of just pictures of all these people in here, and they printed this thing to sell, to make money. But because of the benefit of it, there we go. Here's the pictures. Okay, now there's some pictures. Now I've got this magnifier on, so that's why it's showing up better. There's Higley, Myron Higley. There's George Williams, and so on. Did I click on Erastus on one of those? You'll see him and a couple of his kids. There's Erastus. That picture over on the left is Erastus. That's my great-grandfather. Here's one, Edward Hunter Snow. That was one of his sons, not my grandfather, but another one. And here's Ashby Snow. That's another kid, and so on. So you see all these pictures are in here, besides the write-ups about them. As I went through this for Erastus Snow, I found all kinds of things that I didn't know about on my own ancestor. And I probably ought to sometimes save off the different screenshots to make sure I've got a copy of all of them. Okay, that's anyway, that's that first book, Pioneers and Prominent Men of Utah.
Hey,
Yep.
Don, go ahead and put those on Erastus's page if there's new information. I'd love to read it.
Well, download this thing and you can read it all.
Oh.
No charge. It's all,
no charge.
all completely free. That's the problem with these classes. Every time I teach one, I find new stuff on my own family or my own ancestors, and when am I ever going to live long enough to do it all? That's exactly the problem that we got. Yeah. Okay. All right. Anyway, let me go back now and back to our values here, and let me show you the Scandinavian Jubilee album. Let me get back down here to this thing, and this is where I've downloaded all these, but you can download them yourself. This is it's a book, B-O-O-K, and 2022 I downloaded it, and J-U-B-I-L-E-E. Whoops, did I spell that wrong? Yeah, their Scandinavian Jubilee album. Oh, I spelled it wrong in there. That's why it didn't. I need to correct it. I won't take time to do now. I'll do it later on. Okay, let me double click on it to open it up in that program again. And whatever default program you use for your books, it's for PDFs, it'll do it. So this is the same program, but now this is the new book. This is let me arrow back. I'm just going to do page up. This is the Scandinavian Jubilee album. If any of you have Scandinavian ancestors that joined the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints in the early days, there's more than likely something about one of their ancestors in here. And this is all completely searchable. I want to get up the top here and show you can I drag this far up here? Let's see if I can. Yeah. Drag it right up to the top and show you what this thing looks like. Okay, this is the first of it. Here's let's see, I wanted to show you that this came from the Bancroft Library. There's the front cover of it. Scandinavian Jubilee album. It came from the Bancroft Library at which is the University of California at Berkeley. It's got their sticker or tag in here somewhere where it says Bancroft Library. Someplace in one, there it is, the Bancroft Library. So again, you can do a search on here. Let's see, is Erastus Snow still in there? Yeah. So let me do a search. And okay, so it's found information in here. There's information there's about Erastus. Here's more. There's a picture of him. That's such a nice picture of in the early days. I did a screenshot of that. I've got it the right size and shape and so on, and then just did a screenshot. So I've got a nice woodcut screenshot of him now. But you see all this stuff in here. If you want to search for somebody else, like, oh, I'll type in the name Nielsen, N-I-E-L-S-E-N. There'll be thousands of them. There's a Nielsen information in it. So you can just scroll down through. There's an index in there, but you don't need the index. Just keep on scrolling down through. And in the index at the start, there's all this stuff. And then later on, it gets to these pictures of each one. Go down a ways further. Gosh, I'm still in the There we go. Each one has a picture like this, and then a little write up below the picture. And so if you've got a Scandinavian relative that came to Utah in the early days, there's a good chance they're in here, or at least one of your ancestors is in here. So this is really worthwhile checking out to see what's going on with it. That's the Scandinavian Jubilee album. Let me close that. And the church chronology, I think in the interest of time, I won't, oh gosh, we're already over time. I just want to show you this Century of Mormon activity. Let me show you that one, because that's one that I could not download this time. So I had to use that and do a screenshot. So it's book, let's see, well, that's Muir, M-U-I-R. It was Snow Family, and it's one of those books right there. There it is. Let me. This is a page from that book. That's one I did before. There's another copy of the page. There's the page I did just a couple of days ago with that. This is what it looked like. I did the whole page, and let me go back up to this other picture. That's my dad and my mom, and that's me right there, and that's my brother. And this was 1952 when this was published. And so if you've got California ancestry, there may be information on them in there. That's another picture of the page that I did a long time ago. Anyway, these are just examples of some of the stuff, and I won't take time to show you the other books that are on here. But as I went through these books, I began to find so many things that I thought I really ought to talk about that. And it ended up with that I've decided to split this into two pieces. So we've looked at some examples and demos here on this, and we'll look at more of them later on in another class. Here's a summary. We looked at some books online. We saw that they were in PDF format and that they're maybe searchable or may not be, and you have to OCR them if they are not searchable. We looked at some major book websites, and there's lots more of them. We only showed 3 or 4 here. We looked at a few LDS genealogy books and some examples of them, and we'll show more in later classes. Now, if you tuned in late on this, the video of this class and all my other classes are both on Facebook and on YouTube. They stay on Facebook. Gerhard leaves them there for about 2 months on Facebook, but then they're all on YouTube permanently. So you can always go back to YouTube and watch them. Okay, do you have any questions or comments? And if you do, just unmute your mic and or type it into the chat or the comments if you're watching this on Facebook. And it'd be interesting to know where you're from if you're watching this on Facebook or from on Zoom.
We had one person, Don, on Facebook indicate they were from Oakhurst, California. Ron.
Oh, good. Okay, Oakhurst, California. I don't know where Oakhurst is.
North.
Okay. All right. Any questions? Any comments?
Don, I was delighted to learn about that Scandinavian Jubilee. Do you happen to know the year that was published?
1900.
1900.
It was Jubilee,
Wow.
50 years. And
Okay.
so it was 50. It was the 50-year anniversary of when the Erastus Snow first went to Denmark.
Wow.
And
That is a real find. Thank you.
it's got, and that's just an example. I mean, there's other kinds of things. That's one that in the last 3 months, several people have asked me about Scandinavian ancestries in there, and I tell them about that. And I thought I really ought to put that in here because that's one that's helpful.
That is really a find. Thank you.
Okay, anything else anybody has? And if not, we're going to talk about more stuff. There's bunches more, but I'll do those later. I got to rewrite the notes and get more stuff going on those. So that'll be coming at a future class. 2 weeks from today, we'll talk about more of some of the others. Some of the other sources are the published books are that Susan Easton Black collection of the early church membership. 56 volumes of it, and that's all online, all searchable. And the journal history of the church. There's a gold mine of stuff, and so we want to talk about more of it.
Oakhurst, by the way, is just north of Fresno.
Oh, it's north of Fresno. Oh, okay.
Yes.
Okay.
Ron says he's 20 minutes from Yosemite, Southgate.
Oh, that's a beautiful, that's where the big fire was up there. The fire actually got over toward, a year or two ago, was it? Over toward Yosemite. Oh, that's a beautiful area. That's where the big redwoods are. Wonderful. Well, anyway, we appreciate all of you taking time to watch it, and we hope that you picked up something that will be helpful to you.